I guess I'll go ahead and start then. Good. Okay. So those of you that were here last week, you guys remember how we talked about the 4 major steps to planning a road trip, and you guys had that assignment that you were supposed to plan in detail each step of the road trip. So we would talk about it today. I can't screen record or share my screen.
Oh, let me make you, well, shoot. I don't think I'm the host either. There we go. John is making you the host.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up some of the assignments and we're gonna talk about some of the things. So I think, okay, this one. Soon it comes up. Okay, so this was, I think it was Nick and Vana's, or at least Vana was in it. Okay, so you guys picked Russia. That's a long distance, very interesting place. I noticed several things when you guys were going through here. First of all, it only made it look like, so driving straight there, I'm assuming that it would take 170 hours to drive straight there. And you said with brakes and traffic, 191. So are you guys planning on driving straight there, just bathroom breaks? No staying the night or anything? Because that is a long time to be cramped up in a car. Because trust me, 3 hours is a long time to be cramped up in a car, let alone several days. And then I like how you guys did have each day where you would be driving your stops, how far you would be. That was really good. Then I did see that you guys were only going to be in Russia for 2 hours or 2 days. That seems kind of like a long ways to drive to just be there for 2 days. So these are kind of the things that you want to think about when you're taking it. It's like, are you guys going more for the road trip, like the actual trip, or are you going to spend more time, like you wanting to spend more time in Russia? If so, you might want to like adjust how you're going. And then I did see your budget or your money that you said you would need. But what I don't see is like an actual itinerary of what you're going to do in Russia, because that's a completely different country. There's going to be a language barrier. If you guys don't know anything, you know, not everybody over there speaks English. You might not know everything, where anything is. So you're probably going to want to go more in depth on what you're going to do for those 2 days or however long you're actually there. And then that is also a very long time to drive without any vehicle maintenance. You didn't put anything down for what you were going to be doing, like whether you're taking your car to a shop beforehand, you're making sure like, even if you just like mentioned it, that would have been good. So this this seems like it would be a very fun trip. There might just be a little more things in there that you'll want to think about, because like I said, that is a very, very long time to be in a car, and it's going to get uncomfortable and you're going to want to get out more than the time that you want to put in here. And yeah, your itinerary and vehicle checkup or what's not on here. But actually, your itinerary is definitely more important on a big trip like this, especially because, you know, you're so far away from home. You don't have any backup plans if something closed or you can't figure out where something is. So this would be a very important trip to have a backup plan or something, so that way you don't get messed up or lost or something like that. Um, Other than that, I'm gonna go to Hannah's. Now this one, Hannah, you did a great job on yours. Um, let's see. I mean, you just made yours a day trip, which is perfectly fine. I like your directions on there. No bathroom breaks, which that's reasonable for just a 2-hour trip. Um, your itinerary is there, and I like how you had, how much money that you're having for each set deal, and then your expenses down below. Again, I would recommend looking into your vehicle, making sure that you can make the trip, because even just for a 2-hour trip, that's 4 hours on the road still there and back, that you'll want to make sure your vehicle can make it. I think there was one more that was here. Anya Sophia. Okay, yeah. This is really good. You have your destination, your hotel you're staying at, you have your directions. I like how you have your date you're going, you're coming back, your hotel price, you have your leave time, and then this is an example of like not having an itinerary, just no set itinerary. So that's a good one. And then you have your gas, food, and spending. So, and then you have your total, which is all good. So I'm gonna, those are the only ones I've got. So if you guys have got yours planned, go ahead and submit it just so I can take a look at it. And then another question. So those of you that did do it, did you guys come across any like issues that you had planning it, or were there any troubles or complications that you came across while researching your road trip? How many, other than those four, how many of you actually, did anybody else get it done that didn't turn it in maybe? Okay.
I got it done, but I forgot to type it up into a Google document.
Okay. Would you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your road trip then? Just like a brief detail about it?
Yeah. So I was planning a trip to go to California, like Los Angeles, and I was going to get my car like maintenance done on it like before I left, and got the oil change and everything on that. And then maybe like halfway through the trip or like on the way back from the trip, I'd like stop and see if like everything's like working fine, like good and stuff like that. And I was planning on being in California for 3 days, and then like stopping along the way to go and to come back at like different places, because I'd have to go through Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. And basically, we were planning, because me and Kiera kind of talked about this. We were planning on like going to like Disneyland or Disney World. I don't remember the name of it.
Okay, that's really good. I like how you thought of planning to make a stop about halfway through your trip to check your vehicle again and make sure everything was still good. That's a really good idea, especially if you're going on a longer trips. So these are just several things that I saw that you guys might want to keep in mind. I know planning a road trip, you guys might not be doing that right now, but as you get older, you'll find, especially if you like to travel or if you want to see more things, you will find out that you will have to plan road trips more often. Especially for college, like even leaving for college, you'll have to plan everything to make sure you get there on your move-in date, like on your time that you got to move in. And then so these are just things that I'm wanting you guys to keep your mind open to be thinking about, because you never know when you're going to have to actually step up and plan something. And you want to be prepared so you know what to do and you don't forget anything and you're not stuck in the middle of nowhere with no backup plan or anything. Um, so does anybody have any questions or comments or anything? No? Okay. I think it's your turn, Kaylee.
Okay, so piggybacking on top of that, I'm going to be talking about some safety tips because traveling is fun, but being careful while you travel is very important so you don't put yourselves in situations that are dangerous. Let me share my screen really quick. Okay, I've included some of the things I think are pretty basic that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And I might have missed some things. So definitely if you have any questions while I'm doing this, just feel free to ask and I will do my best to answer them. I consider myself, I've traveled places. So I'm definitely not an expert because I've not, you know, people sometimes backpack across Europe and that sort of thing. I've never done that. I lived in Korea for a year. I've been to China, South Africa, Iceland. So I've been around, but I'm definitely not an expert yet. You're always learning things. Okay, so some of these apply to international, some apply to both local and international travel. So learn common travel scams. There are so many people out there that will try and scam you. Like for instance, you could get in a taxi cab and they could say, the meter's broken. So this is how much you owe me. And the way to avoid that is to get in and say, is your meter working? And if they say yes, then there's no reason for them to say that at the end of the trip. If they say yes, if they say no, it's broken, you can say, well, I will agree to pay you this much, and you agree on a price before you even leave. And if they don't do that, you just get out of the taxi and find another taxi. Like, it's that easy. Just asking questions beforehand will keep you from getting yourself a situation. You need to write down emergency information for you to have. It can be on your phone. I would recommend putting emergency information on a card, laminating it, and sticking it in your wallet or somewhere where you can access it. It's always handy to have in case maybe your phone dies and you can't get that information. You have it somewhere available to you. And also an emergency plan in case something happens. Like, so if someone found that card, it would say on it, I am a diabetic and this is my mom's phone number, please call her, or something like that. Check the State Department website is really important for international travel because it gives you all information about different countries, like where not to go, what to be careful of, maybe vaccines you might need before you even go. And because sometimes, depending on the country, you need an extra shot. It's just something to keep you safe. Lock up your valuables. Don't leave them out. Like, that's a pretty common thing, even in the United States. Like, if you're going to stay in a hotel room, I'm not saying housekeepers are untrustworthy. I'm just saying if there's a MacBook laying on the bedspread, I mean, it would be tempting for anyone to take that because you can't prove whether they took it or not. So just lock them up. Usually there's a safe in your room. And if there's not, I would just recommend throwing it in your backpack and keeping it with you. Like, there's no reason to leave it way out in the open.
Just be extra mindful of everything that you have on your person at all times, your wallet, your phone, your hotel room key, everything. You need to know where it's at all times, because I don't know how many times we've been on an upward bound trip and someone has said, oh, I left my wallet on the seat at the restaurant. So just, especially when you're traveling, pay close attention to all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I might have put this in. I don't know if I did or not. Really quick though, your passport. Does everyone know what a passport is? Just, it's okay if you don't. I don't see everyone, so I actually can't tell. I'm assuming everyone knows what a passport is. Anyway, you needed to travel internationally. And right now, I'm pretty sure you needed to even travel to Mexico and Canada. You used to not have to, but you do now. And never give your passport to anyone. If they say, I need your passport to check on your papers or whatever, do not give it to them. Say, I will come with you. Because if they take your passport and you are not in the United States, you cannot get home. So keep track of that. I would keep the passport on you. Don't ever leave it in a hotel room or anything. Always keep it on you. And don't travel with your Social Security card. Leave that at home. And memorize your Social Security number. Who has their Social Security number memorized? Anyone? Yeah, okay, Alyssa does. Memorize your Social Security number, okay? It will, you're gonna have
need
to
it
do
for
it.
everything.
You're going to have to, yeah. And
Yeah.
you don't want to carry your Social Security card with you because then people can just steal that number. Okay, if you can ask locals for advice, like walk up to someone and be like, do you speak English? Or if you're in America, can you give me advice on like best place to eat around here? They'll usually direct you to a good place. But if someone walks up to you and says, hey, I know this place you can go to, that's really cool, don't do that. Because they're probably trying to lead you astray. I would be like, go up to someone else maybe and be like, have you heard of this place? And if they have, just don't. And maybe they're being friendly, but more often than not, it's safer to just not do that. Registering with your embassy is for international traveling, obviously. It's free, and it is a good idea because then the US can say, like say there's an emergency in a country, like I'm throwing a country out, Afghanistan. And the US can say, okay, what US citizens do we have in this country? And can we get, like, we need to find them, because then they just keep track of where you are. Smart Traveler enrollment program. You just say, this is where I'm going. This is my number. This is, my information, and they will know where you are. Always email your itinerary to friends and family. When what I've been doing lately, or having my friends do, like for right now, for instance, my brother, he went to Colorado for vacation, and he does this thing called location sharing on Google, and we can see where he is at as long as his phone is on. And it's really handy to have, because if something ever happens, you're hiking, you get lost, you can be like, this is where they were 2 hours ago, and then at least they have somewhere to pinpoint where you were. The itinerary, it's harder to do obviously internationally. Well, not really, as long as your phone has service, but you email your itinerary and then they know where you are. They know what hotel you're at, and if anything ever happens, they can find you. Ooh. Okay, don't share too much with strangers. Like if someone comes up and they're like, hey, where are you going? Where are you gonna be? Obviously don't do that, because then they can find you. A lot of people like to post where they are on Facebook. I do that. But if they can see you, maybe they can track you, and they know where you are, they know where they can get you. So you can share with your friends. This is probably something you guys know as well, but Facebook, your security, maybe someone's going to cover this in one of the life skills. Your security features, you need to beef them up, okay? You need to go in and change and control who can see your Facebook posts, because if anyone can, then anyone can find you. Okay, splurge on extra safety. I think Adrian talked about hostels last week. A hostel is just basically a really cheap dorm room. Usually there is a whole bunch of beds in one room and one bathroom everyone shares, and you don't know who's staying in there with you. Sometimes backpackers it'd be like $20 a night or something like that, maybe less. And if they're super cheap, then you're probably going to get some sketchy people in there with you. It's not the safest place. And then budget flights, like it says, you arrive in the middle of the night because it's a red eye, because it's cheaper. Well, then you try and hail taxi in the middle of the night and you're in another country, and that's not very safe. So traveling on the cheap is nice, but sometimes for safety purposes, it's good to just spend a little bit more and budget better and save up more before you travel, so that you can be safer. Stay tethered to your bag, especially internationally. A carabiner you just hook it on. Sometimes if you clip that onto like the leg of the chair you're sitting on, or even wrap the strap of the bag on the leg, then that will prevent someone. Usually they'll be like, well, I can't get that bag easy enough and run away, so I'm not even going to try it. If they see, or you have your foot hooked around it or something, if they grab it, they're not going to be able to take off very fast. So you just want to make sure you know where it is at all times. Basic self-defense, if you have the opportunity to learn it, do take a class. It can never hurt. This tactical pen here, this picture, it's just it's a pen. It works as a pen. This particular one has a flashlight on the end, and you can use it. There are videos on YouTube about how to use a pen to protect yourself. Obviously, if someone has a gun, just give them your wallet. Don't try and fight them. Using something like a tactical pen is as a last resort. You're going to live if you don't fight them, pretty much. I mean, hopefully. Okay. Project situational awareness. If you guys know what this means, it's just basically showing that you're confident. Confidence is key. Okay. If you're in a cafe in the, sorry, I'll look at this really quick. Carrying a fake wallet and phone, that's fine. But if they check it in front of you and you didn't, they know it's fake, then that's not going to do you any good. You can try that for sure. Emily asked if you could carry a fake wallet or phone. It might work. But that's also why you don't hold everything, which I'll talk about later. You don't have everything in one wallet. So you have like a hidden cache somewhere else on you that you would be able to use if what you were robbed. If they check it in front of you, then it leaves a window of opportunity. But you don't want to fight them. If they have a gun, no matter what, you don't want to fight them. I'm just saying, it's scary. If you guys are confident in your self-defense, then that's an option. But in the situation, it might be a little different. Okay, situation awareness. Confidence is key. If you project with your body language that you know what you're doing, you know where you are, it's going to show the person that maybe you're not the type of person who can be mugged or whatever. So situational awareness. Tell your bank where you're going. This is a little less prevalent now than it used to be. Like, you used to have to tell your credit card company, I am going to another country, or even I'm traveling to another state. A lot of credit card companies don't require that anymore because they have ways of realizing whether it's you or not. Like, I used to get notifications from a credit card company that says, hey, did you make this purchase in this other state? But I don't really get that anymore. And I travel to several states a lot, so they're better about that. But definitely internationally, you have to tell them you're going, or they'll close your cards down. Then you're somewhere you don't have access to anything, and you have to call them and tell them, yes, I'm here, and it's really annoying. So you just let them know beforehand, then it's better. Okay, emergency cash. So if you don't keep everything in one spot, they have these fancy belts I didn't actually even know about. You can keep it in this zipper and you're wearing it, so no one would know it was there. This brush right here, they put it in the top of the brush and screw the lid on, which is handy. Some people put it in a rolled up empty chapstick container, which you can't get much in there, but if it's, $100 or so, then it's better than anything. My problem is I lose my chapsticks a lot, so that's maybe not a good idea for me. Surgically implant it, Michael.
Good luck getting it out.
Talk about that in a few years. Maybe it'll be possible.
Yeah.
You can people sew like secret pockets. Some people they're called spy belts, and it's like a running belt, but it's really thin, and you wear it under your clothes, and you can put cash in there. You just spread it out, then it's more likely you won't be left in alert if it gets stolen. Just remember where you hide it. Or actually, it's kind of fun to look through an old backpack and find $20 extra there. Okay, food and water safety. This is, I mean, in the United States, you don't have to worry about this much. Internationally, though, you definitely do. If you see a place that has a lot of long lines, then you know it's good to eat at. Why is your belt lumpy? Yeah. Try to watch how your food is prepared. And if they're not using very safe techniques, you probably don't want to eat that food, because food poisoning is the worst, especially when you're in an international country. Oh, go back. Wow, sorry guys. Okay, pack a translation card, or you pull up something on Google Translate, and so you can tell them, please don't put nuts, I will die, you know, or are there nuts in this, you know. Fully cooked food is always the best. I love sushi, but I wouldn't eat sushi from a food truck because that's, well, actually that's not true, because Mizumi's is a food truck. Has anyone eaten at Mizumi's in Chanute?
It's fantastic.
It's so good, and that's a food truck, but maybe in another country I wouldn't do that. Only eat peelable fruit, because you don't know who's touched the outside of an apple, and if it's been washed, if you can even wash it. Sometimes if you wash it in the water there, the water has bacteria in it. And then one of these water bottles is always a good idea, because it filters the water for you. I mean, it's a little pricey. It's like $36, but it works. Do you have to watch what kind of places you go to eat in other countries and states? Yes. I mean, not in the United States. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, you don't have to worry about that very much. Because normally in the United States, they have people check up on restaurants, and if they have food poisoning, they close down. So it's not a big deal, cockroaches or something. In other countries, for sure, you have to be careful where you eat, because you don't know what they do. I don't know what they do there. You'd have to look it up, but just be careful. Okay, ATMs. I don't know. How many of you have used an ATM? Most of you. Okay, so ATMs, in other countries, they say when you put your PIN in, hide it, because people have cameras or looking over your shoulder to look at your PIN, and then they can steal it for you. Sometimes someone might come up to you in another country and say, hey, I can help you if you can't read the screen, and they'll ask to take your card, and then they'll skim the card with a machine they have, and then they'll watch you use your PIN, and then they'll steal your money. So just basically, they always have an English button. In another country, you're going up to an ATM, you hit the English button. You shouldn't need help. And hopefully, if you're smart about it, you've taken enough cash anyway, and you don't need to use an ATM, but just in case. Stop using your back pocket. Who puts their wallets in their back pocket? Stop doing that thing. Don't do it. It's so easy for someone to steal it out of your back pocket. So easy. So just put it somewhere else if you can. In the United States, obviously, again, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a bad place to put it. Travel in numbers if you can. Travel with people. Traveling alone, people do it, but it's more fun and safer if you travel with people. Okay, gosh. Pack a first aid kit. We talked about first aid kits. It doesn't need to be very big. Put it in a Ziploc bag, Band-Aids, Neosporin, you know, take a first aid kit with you. And trust your instincts. If you're in a situation where you are nervous and you don't think you should be there, that's probably a pretty good instinct, and you should get out of there. You can't, I mean, there's a reason why you feel that way. So just trust your instincts. Okay, flying. Who has flown somewhere before? Okay. Sometimes people haven't, and that's okay. Flying can be confusing, especially now about what you can pack and stuff. You always, okay, TSA.com will tell you all you need to know about what you can pack, what you can't pack, all sorts of things. Very basic. Before packing, you can only take an 3.4 ounce container on the plane with you. Okay, if it's in your bag that you give to the people and they put under the plane, it can be any size, lotion, shampoo, any size. If you're taking a backpack onto the plane with you, because sometimes it's easier just to take with the one bag instead of checking a bag, it can only be 3.4 ounces, and that is not very big. Okay, that's peanut butter, it's anything. It's what's deodorant. It's anything that's like a liquid or semi-liquid. Okay. You can only have a quart-sized Ziploc bag, and then all that stuff can be in there. Like you can have one lotion, one shampoo, one, but it just has to fit in the bag. And then, yeah, but Michael says just take multiple of the same thing, but if you can only fit in the bag. So if you want one of everything, then it's got to fit in the bag, and you can only have one per passenger. And normally when you go through the security, they're going to say, please get your Ziploc bag of liquids out so we can inspect it. There's a prohibited list of items that you can't take. You obviously can't take gasoline. Okay. When packing, pack them in layers, fold them up so they fit. Firearms are only allowed in checked bags and must be unloaded. But that depends on the state. I know someone who left Florida. They had a conceal and carry license. He had his gun. He checked it. The airport was like, okay, we've tagged your bag. We've got it. He went to New York. When he got to New York, they arrested him because it's not allowed in New York. So you have to know the rules of the state you're going to. Okay. Fireworks, you can't take fireworks, obviously. You can take a laptop, but that has to be, they say pull that out so we can check it because it has a lithium battery in it, and lithium batteries can explode. And pets are a whole, you have to check with the airline if you have a pet. It's very hard to travel with a pet. So any questions on that one in particular? Okay. Before leaving for the airport, give yourself enough time to get there. The plane will leave without you. Wear removable shoes because you will most likely have to take your shoes off in the security. Sometimes they usually make you take your jacket off, and then you have to stand in a thing that scans you. Just stand there like this, and then they tell you to stand there, and they tell you to move, and they can tell you can go on. They can grab your bag and put your shoes back on. TSA pre-check, I don't know if any of you have heard of this, but basically what they do is they check you beforehand. You pay extra for it, but they check beforehand, and you don't have to take your shoes off. It's just a little bit faster, and it'll say it on your ticket if you're TSA pre-check, and they make you go in a different line, just faster. Usually people who travel a lot get that, or military people have it because they're already security checked to go through. They will always ask to see your ID. So when you get up to the gate, before you even get into security, they'll say, let me see your ticket, let me see your ID. And you can show them passport, you can show them a driver's license. All driver's licenses, all the new ones now, will have a gold star in the top. And every airport, it used to be that you could get through without that, but every airport is switching over to where you have to have it. So it just means when you get your driver's license, they require a little bit more identification, like maybe your birth certificate, to get your driver's license, and then it counts as ID through the airport. And then you can put it, I always put my ID away right after they check it, because you might put it in your pocket or something, it might fall out and you might lose it, and then you don't know where it is. So I always put it away right after that.
I wouldn't know anything about leaving my wallet at an airport. On an upward bound trip, we were sitting waiting for our plane, and over the intercom comes Daniel Carroll. Please report to the TSA check. Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, it's really easy to do because they make you put your small stuff in a little container, and then when it goes through the X-ray machine, if you don't remember that you put it in there, sometimes you forget.
Yep, gotta always have your head on straight and be paying attention.
Paying attention.
That's right.
So when you get through the screening line, they'll ask you to take your bag of liquids out. You have to take everything out of your pockets, everything. Usually you have to take your watch off, and your belt sometimes. It just depends on the airport. Put your shoes on the tray. You have to put your shoes in the tray now. Put your bag in a tray, and they have you put your laptop in a separate tray, and usually your phone and stuff. And then they send it through the X-ray machine while you go through the different X-ray machine. And then when you get the all clear to go through, they will say, get all your stuff. And that feels rushed all the time because everyone's trying to get through and you're trying to get your stuff, and just make sure you grab it all. I always take all my stuff to a separate little bench, and then I have time to put my shoes on and make sure I have everything before you go onto your gate. Okay. Any questions about flights? It was very, very fast.
It flew by.
It flew. Okay. Renting a car. So this one, you probably won't do till you're 25. I'm going to be honest with you. Car rental companies do not rent to anyone younger than 25. That's just a hard and fast rule. You haven't driven enough to have any experience, and they don't want to rent to you. It's a lot of people don't like to do it. I like to do it. It's handy. You're not using your own car. You can fly and drive where you want. If you're going to somewhere like New York City, don't rent a car because you can walk everywhere or take taxis. Not a huge fan of taxis. Also, the subway in New York it's gross, but it's cool. Do that. Don't rent a car in New York. You do not want to drive in New York. One of the things that they try and do is they say, hey, do you want to prepay for gasoline? And you're like, what is that? And basically what they're saying is you don't have to bring the car back with gas in it. They will fill it up afterwards. But they charge way more than you would ever pay for gas. It's just a luxury because you don't have to stop at a gas station before you turn it in. But it costs you way more. I did it once and it was dumb. So don't do that. So you just rent the car, and when you go to bring it back, you have to find a gas station within 10 miles of the rental company, and then you keep the receipt, and when you turn it in, you have proof that you filled it up. They usually have a place right on site actually where you can refuel. Sometimes it's more expensive because they like to get you there too, but make sure you check before you leave that there's a place to refuel. Normally they'll ask if you want car insurance, and you always want to check beforehand. Usually your own car insurance will cover car rental, and usually your credit card that you use, because you have to use a credit card, will already have car rental insurance. And all you have to do is go to your credit card website and just search for car rental, and it'll tell you if it's covered. I don't know a credit card that doesn't cover it, but you just check before, and then that's something they want to tack on to the price, and you don't need it because you have car rental insurance already. You want to check for damages to the car before you leave, and if you find a scratch, a dent, anything, you take a picture of it, because if they could say later, you did this, you're paying us for the damages. So check before you leave, take pictures, and after you leave. As I have rented cars throughout my years, it used to be they checked you in, they checked the car with you, you drove away, you came back, they checked you back in, they checked the car with you. Now, if I bring a car back, they're like, stick it in this slot and leave the keys in it. Well, you don't even see anyone. It's crazy. So you always want to take a video of you walking around the car to make sure there's no damages. So if they come back and say, we want to charge you for this, you can say, I turned the car back in, here's the video, there was nothing wrong with it when I turned it in. Okay, it's very important you do this because they can always get you for something. This one is hard for me, keep drivers to a minimum. They add like $30 a day onto the car if you want another person driving, okay? And that stinks for the person who has to drive all the time. If you want to pay that, that's great. But if you get caught, if you get in a wreck and the person driving is not the person you said was driving, you'll have to pay a lot of money. Okay, so that's something to think about. It's tempting to switch drivers, but if something happens, it's just something you'll have to deal with, and especially if they're under the age of 25. Don't let them drive. Your 18-year-old sister does not need to learn how to drive a car in a rental car, okay? Hopefully your 18-year-old sister knows how to drive, but you know what I mean. Okay, any questions on car rentals? None. Okay, now we're gonna go over beaches. I don't know who wants to go on vacation to a beach someday. Okay, who has been on vacation to a beach? Okay. Yes, Man o' War. All right, so number one, biggest thing people don't think about, just use sunscreen, okay? It's miserable. You will literally make the rest of your trip miserable if you don't put sunscreen on. You'll be burnt to a crisp. You won't want to do anything. You'll feel sick. It's terrible. So don't overdo it on sunshine. If you're at the beach, you can go every day. Just don't overdo it. Know what beach flags mean. So here's a picture of beach flags in Florida. This is important to note that it's different in different states, okay? So you can look it up easily enough what they mean. If it's 2 red flags, you can't swim, okay? And this isn't a situation where you're like, oh, it's fine, I'm just gonna swim. There's a reason why it's there. They want people to swim too, but if it's 2 red flags, it's too dangerous to swim, okay? If it's a 1 red flag, it's a high hazard, so you don't wanna go in below your waist because it's a strong surf and currents. Yellow is medium. Green is you're good to go. Purple is you can swim, but you might get stung. And watch out. Does anyone know what this little dude down here is? I know someone said it. Who can just unmute themselves and tell me what that is? Anyone? I will call you out.
It's a man of war.
Okay, it's a Portuguese man of war. Okay, stingrays are like bees and wasps. If you get stung by one and you are allergic to it, you could die. Man of wars are more dangerous than regular jellyfish. Has anyone been stung by a jellyfish? Anya, tell me how it felt.
I don't really know. I got stung right here. I went to the beach last year.
Okay, what did it feel like though?
It was like burning, kind of.
Okay. So I don't. Maybe you guys have seen the Friends episode where they get stung and they're like, "Pee on it." Like, don't pee on it. That won't do anything.
Jellyfish and like stingrays are like the bees or wasps or whatever. But like a stingray could just easily kill you in general.
Well, did I say stingray? Man of War.
The first time you did say stingray.
Okay, sorry. Stingrays are a whole different thing. Sorry. A stingray has like a rod in its tail, and if it like, it's rare to die from it. Obviously, Steve Irwin did, but it got him, I believe, like near his heart. So that was, they could kill you. These all can kill you, obviously, but jellyfish feels like someone took a rubber band and flicked you with it, and then it feels like just a burn after that. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world.
Won't a man of war just leave you like on the ground?
A man of war, they have barbs too. They will release a barb that you'll have to pull out. and they are really easy to spot. And they don't recommend swimming in the water if there's man-o-wars. But jellyfish, people swim. I went to the beach one time, and I could see the water, the waves, and in the waves, I could see through the waves, was just full of jellyfish. It was terrifying. And they're like, one guy was like, "Oh yeah, I surf all the time when jellyfish." And I'm like, why would you do that? It's like swimming with spiders. It sounds like the worst idea ever. Like, but people do it because they come in and out with the tide. They don't really do it on purpose. They just go in and out with the tide. So they're there when like a storm is off the coast. Maybe they'll come in with the current and go back out. And so it could be there one day and gone the next. I went one time where they were in the water and they left like the slime in the water, and that was stinging. So it just depends. Jellyfish, Michael says, can be buried under the sand. Some can wash up on the beach and you can step on them. Yes. So if you see something that looks like clear jello, that's a jellyfish, and it got washed up on the sand, and if you step on it, it will hurt. So that's a good point. Thank you, Michael. 3, be in tune with current events. It's really easy to go swimming in the ocean and then look up for your stuff to check on your stuff. And it's like a quarter of a mile down the beach because you're moving with the current. You're not paying attention to where you are. So just always look up and know where you are. Okay. They say always swim in front of a lifeguard. That might be hard when the beach is huge and there's a ton of people there. You might have to move down. If you're not a strong swimmer, just camp out near the lifeguard. If you feel like you're a strong swimmer, you can obviously swim farther down. Sometimes they have ropes that say you can't swim past this point. You just have to follow the rules of the beach. Rip currents. Who's heard of a rip current? Okay, some people have not, and this is a really important thing that you don't think of. I mean, people die from this all the time. We're gonna watch a little video really quick about it so you can see what it is.
You might have heard them referred to as undertow or riptides. But these ocean phenomena are actually rip currents. Rip currents are narrow currents in the surf zone that move quickly away from shore. A typical rip current ranges from 50 to 100 feet wide and can extend 100 yards or more offshore. It can reach speeds of over 5 miles per hour. That's faster than an Olympic swimmer. That makes them dangerous and potentially deadly, and scientists want to learn more about them so we can better forecast when and where they will form and keep beachgoers safe. Here's what we know. Waves don't have to be huge for a rip current to form. 2 or 3 feet are all it takes. And the weather doesn't have to be bad for a rip current to emerge. They often occur in the nice days after a storm. They're usually strongest near low tide, but can form at any time. Rip currents often form where sandbars are near the shore. They occur at breaks or channels in the bar. They're often difficult to see, but you can spot them in areas where waves aren't breaking or where there's foam, seaweed, or discolored water being pulled offshore. It's easier to see a rip current from higher up, such as from the beach access over dunes or a lifeguard's tower. Rip currents are a hazard for beachgoers, but by knowing the dangers and what to look for, you can avoid being caught in the grip of the rip.
Okay, so this visual right here shows you how you can get out of a rip current. So if you look, the rip current is pushing them out, and what people do is they freak out and they try and swim back as hard as they can in the rip current, and you're not gonna get out of it. So what you do is you swim to the sides. Okay, it might be a wider rip current, you feel like you're not doing anything, but once you swim to the side and you're out of it, you can easily come back in. And then obviously watch for lightning when you're at the beach. It's, because storms come in all the time and you just have to watch for lightning. One thing I didn't cover, I forgot to do, was sharks. Obviously you're gonna probably, there are sharks out there, and you just don't go too far out, basically. Sometimes you'll see fins. You can tell it's a dolphin if they blow water up, or if they're doing this, then they're dolphins. If you see one just going along, then that's a shark and get out of the water. But normally if you're swimming by a lifeguard, they will have spotted that as well. So sharks, I know smaller sharks can go down to 2 feet of water, but typically if you're swimming where there's a lifeguard, they should have spotted it already. Okay, Michael says the ocean is just scary and unforgiving place, stay away from it. That's not true. The ocean's pretty cool. Okay, it seems, all this stuff seems scary right now, but you just have to be aware of your surroundings. It's fun. The waves, when the waves are big, it's real fun. Okay, so don't stay away from the ocean. Go to the ocean once.
I would say another one might be, which this is kind of a general rule, but stay hydrated, because when you're out in the salt water, especially if you get some of it in, it's just, you can get, and out in the sun, you just get dehydrated really, really quick. So it's good to stay extra hydrated.
Yeah. But the beach is fun. Don't avoid
Yes, very fun. Been on a cruise out in the ocean. That's really, really fun as well. I highly recommend, if you get the opportunity ever in your life, to do something like that.
Okay.
As long as you're being safe.
Yeah. I believe that's it. Does anyone have any questions? No.
Does everyone know where they're planning their road trip already? Anybody still struggling to come up with a road trip?
Okay, a better question. Who doesn't know? Who's having a problem finding a place to go?
Brianna? Brittany?
Hey, Michael, you've had a whole week. Just pick somewhere.
Just pick somewhere that you guys have always wanted to go. Just pick that place, even if you don't think it's possible. Just
You do too. Come on.
pick anywhere. Go to California. That's where you're going. Make a road trip to California.
Yeah.
There you go. Colton just figured it out for you.
Any state, just go. That does not count. That does not count.
No, it needs.
It's
it
the
needs
shortest
to be
distance.
At least like an hour away.
Yeah.
Guys, it's really
Utah,
not that hard.
I've heard, is amazing. That's one of the coolest places in the United States, apparently.
Yeah.
If you're still having trouble, just go online and Google top 25 places or top coolest 25 places to see in the United States and pick one.
I mean, they have people have itineraries already on. Like someone took, like said, the best route to take on a train. Do that. You know what I mean? Like it can be anything. Antarctica. You guys are picking places that are gonna be really hard to do a road trip to.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not, you guys, this is fun. This is a fun project to do, actually, because planning your own trip. I know you guys live in small towns in Kansas, but expand your horizons.
That's right.
It's not hard at all. It's not.
No. And we've talked about how this is applicable to other areas of your life rather than just a road trip. I mean, it's great to be able to plan and budget a road trip, but any goal that you set for your life, going to college is a road trip that you would plan and budget for. So make your itineraries. The more detailed you're able to be, the better. All right. If nobody has anything else, any questions, I think we are at 3 o'clock. So
Before you guys leave, do not forget to do your pictures. Those are due next week.
That's right.
Do your pictures. Turn them in.
That's right. Get your slideshows done with your pictures. That's in the Life Skills Google Classroom. So if you are wondering, like, what homework do I have? What work do I still have to do? Go in each classroom that you're enrolled in, go to the classwork tab, and you should be able to see all the assignments on there and see which ones you've turned in, which ones you haven't turned in. So check those. We sent out emails on Friday saying which assignments you still had due, and which some of you should be coming to study hall starting today. So make sure that you're coming and getting caught up on assignments you're missing. And again, just go to the classrooms. It's not hard to figure out what assignments you're missing, which ones you've turned in, and which ones you haven't.
I should take advantage of the people, the help that we were being offered, because if this was your college, you'd be failing and you'd just be wasting money. So do your assignment, do your homework, turn it in. It's not that hard.
It's
Couple
true.
hours a day, turn it in.
It's true. When you get to, which I would not recommend anyone take online college classes unless you absolutely had to. It is nice to be able to work at your own pace, do things on your own, but in-person classes are the way to go. And I think that many of you are finding that out through this time of COVID-19, that online schooling is difficult. But you're getting practice right now to prepare you for what it's like in college. So not all of you will be able to take in-person college classes. So use this time wisely to prepare yourself for what is a little bit more difficult school. College, whether you do it in person or online, it's more difficult. You're on your own, and you don't have as much help there. So take advantage.